What's going on, everybody? John Ramdeen and Robin Black here on the grounds of TD Place, the site of UFC Fight Night, which goes down on Saturday night. The main event, a fantastic welterweight tussle between Rory MacDonald and Stephen Thompson. Rory MacDonald at the open workout said, there's going to be blood. There is going to be bloodshed. This is going to be an exciting matchup. Stephen Thompson, he understands what's going on. He clearly knows his path to victory is to keep this fight standing, use the kicks he's famous for. He said he really wants to avoid the ground of Rory MacDonald because it's one of the most terrifying positions, I think, in all of mixed martial arts.
Yeah, and I like his honesty. He's like, I don't want to be down there with him. He's right. He doesn't want to be down there with him. Rory MacDonald in top position is very, very ornery. You see when he gets a position how much damage he can dish out. If you're wondering why that's not very appealing to you, especially when your game is keeping him at distance and kind of chewing him up from the outside, it's a very interesting clash of these guys' styles and what they want, but also personalities. Rory is a killer. He's a terrifying, brutal killer. And if he was born in a different era, like I've said many times, he would be on horseback with a sword. That's who the guy is. And Wonderboy is this very skilled martial artist, this elegant martial artist. It's a very, very interesting fight.
I had a chance to talk to Zach Makovsky, the former Bellator champion, who is a teammate of Rory MacDonald. And we know there's a lot of distractions. Rory coming off of that fight with Robbie Lawler. And yes, if you're a purist of mixed martial arts, if you're a fan of the sport of MMA, you understood what you were watching, but you understood that that's a fight that could change somebody's life. Dealing with that, the last fight in his current UFC contract, of course, expecting his first child, many things that could mess with a human psychologically. But Zach Makovsky said Rory has been able to handle everything with ease, that he's just such a mental giant, that this is really just another day at the office for him.
Yeah, he's a robot killing machine. You know what I mean? But all of those things are real. And if there's any human in him at all, and I think there's a little, you can't help but have some of these things influence you on some level. But honestly, he was put on Earth for combat. And I'm not just saying that as some thing that a guy on TV says. If you get to know him, you study him, this is what he does. And this is where he's comfortable. So, if anybody's going to be all right with all those distractions, it'll be Rory MacDonald.
As you can see in the background, the Fan Fest here in Ottawa starting to build up. Of course, the door is going to be opening very, very shortly. Fans going to be exposed to things they've never seen before, getting their hands wrapped, getting to be around mixed martial arts talent. The sport, the brand continues to grow. The UFC in Canada, it's remarkable. They're going back to Vancouver. What do you see for the future of UFC in Canada?
There's good vibes all around here, man. If you like fighting, if the way they've presented all this stuff is super cool. You're a kid, you can come in here, put a glove on, they'll put a little sensor on your hand, you can hit bags. They're making it really so that people who aren't obsessed with the martial arts can come in and see it as a cool thing. It's a groovy thing, and it's a cool vibe around here for sure. And it's going to be fun. Fight Network will be here all weekend.
I think, of course, when people think about this card, they think about that main event. Rory MacDonald, Stephen Thompson. They're talking about the winner getting a crack at the UFC Welterweight Championship. But the co-feature bout may be just as intriguing. Donald Cerrone, a perennial fan favorite. Everybody knows that when he gets inside of the cage, there's a good chance there's going to be fight of the night. Patrick Cote, you and I have talked about it before. He is one of the most underrated martial artists in Canada, which is very hard to understand considering we saw him face Anderson Silva. We saw him fight at 205 pounds against Tito Ortiz. We've seen him help blaze trails for Canadian mixed martial artists. And now fighting in the co-main event, the best version, I think, of Patrick Cote. Can he change people's perspective?
I think so. I think, we don't talk a lot about what these guys say because athletes say all kinds of things that are often not true. People stick microphones. We're here. We see it. People stick microphones in their face. They say a bunch of stuff that they've got ready to say, and they get to the real business of fighting. So you don't really need to, or it's not an important thing to linger on their words, because a lot of the time they're just making stuff up because it's part of their job. But Pat Cote, one of the things he expressed, it wasn't just his words, you could feel it from him, is that he feels disrespected. And that's, again, something people say often. It might get you a headline, but you can feel it if you know Pat. This guy's literally going, does this cowboy understand who he's fighting? You can see that it's irritated him, that the guy's like, I don't really watch him fight, but he's kind of one-dimensional, et cetera, et cetera. And Pat's like, I'm one of the best fighters in the world. These people don't realize it, and this cowboy doesn't realize it. I'm going to knock his ass out. You can feel that from him.
And Patrick Cote says he knows he's not a household name, so he's got to look very, very good in this fight with Donald Cerrone. and then he can call out somebody in the top 10. He believes that he matches up very well with most of the fighters ranked at in the top 10 at 170 pounds. You go and stop Donald Cerrone, you can go and call out Robbie Lawler. Of course, Robbie Lawler, the current champion, going to be facing off with Tyron Woodley. You and I had a chance to talk to Mike Thomas Brown, the former WEC champion, American Top Team, doing big things.
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler, of course, the current welterweight champion. Right now, American Top Team seems to be, just like we've seen in the past, many trends, whether it's Greg Jackson's or TriStar or AKA, ATT seems to be the place. Amanda Nunes getting ready for her title fight, Robbie Lawler getting ready for his title fight. Of course, Valerie Letourneau going to be in action against Joanne Calderwood. So right now, ATT really producing top talent, and they have big fights. And recently just announced that Jorge Masvidal going to be taking on Sierra Bada-Rosada. So just really awesome fights with one of the best teams in the world. But it seems that they're not trailblazers. It's just when there's trends out there, they try to master the trends. Yeah,
Mike Thomas Brown, it was a real gift to get to speak to him for a bit. I'm going to try to bring him on and do a chat with him on Skype on Fight Network in the future, because he's a brilliant, brilliant guy. And we had an interesting conversation about the idea. We know fighting will look different in 20 years, but when you have a team, and a big team like they do, you have to build a curriculum. And to build a curriculum, you have to have concrete things that you do. So that is in conflict of ever-changing sport, yet the need to build a curriculum for these fighters. But he talked about Robbie Lawler, and he's like, the guy spends every minute trying to hurt you, trying to beat you up, trying to break you down. And that's true of Rory as well. Wonder Boy, on the other hand, is trying to figure you out and solve your puzzle. So there is this real rugged nature of a Robbie Lawler, who is the champion, Rory McDonald, who's fighting on Saturday night. And the thing about Robbie, and you and I have talked to him before, he says he understands how to fight. He is now just refining things, and we heard that Rory McDonald kind of changed things in his camp, kind of broke tradition, so to speak. But when you look at what's happened with Michael Bisping taking a fight on 2 weeks' notice, and the fight with Nathan Diaz taking that fight on short notice, those two fighters having some of the best success of their entire career, do you think the philosophy might be changing? I mean, Rory McDonald's been doing this, fighting MMA, since he was a teenager. He understands what he needs to do. Sometimes, isn't it important to kind of break routine? It's really tough to say because, again, what these guys say and the truth is not always the same thing. Their job is to answer people with microphones. Doesn't mean they have to tell the truth. So Robbie Lawler says, oh, I'm not really sparring that much anymore. But you talk to anybody who's at ATT, they see him sparring all the time. And he's beating guys up. Just because he's not getting hit in the head doesn't mean it's not sparring. You know what I mean? So this idea that guys are sparring less is not entirely true. And so if other fighters are like, well, look, these guys are having success not sparring that much, and they decide not to do it, there's no guarantee it will work. All of these things move in waves and trends, and we'll see. I've been hearing that Rory hasn't been at the gym sparring that much recently. Now, nobody wants to tell me that straight out, and for good reason. This is their teammate. They want to, but the vibe you're picking up is that Rory hasn't been in the gym as much. Is that a good thing? It can be. He's a killer. He knows how to fight. He shows up on fight day. He doesn't need to be taking the extra abuse in there, but we'll see. A 185-pound matchup, Sam Alvey and Elias Theodorou, a very important fight for the 185-pound division. We had a chance to catch up with the Spartan, and he talked about everything following his last loss.
For the winner, by unanimous decision, Thiago Marreta Santos.
I think the silver lining in the fight was I lost the fight, he didn't win the fight. I won the first round decisively.
Nice job by Theodorou.
The second could have gone either way.
Now Santos opens up with a big elbow. Massive fence grab, though, that prevented the initial takedown. Theodorou looks to be getting it anyways.
And the third one, I think it was a little bit of a wake-up call.
Not near the output, Theodorou with a nice knee there inside the clinch. He could be hurt now. He's hurt. This could be it.
I would say that's kind of just growing pains. I've only been professional for 4 years, and like I said, this is my first bad day at work, 12-1. Obviously, being here at TriStar now for the better part of full time, I'm changing up my surroundings. I got excellent partners at my home gym, at Rival, at Burlington Training Center, and all over, like also Guelph University, but those are 100 kilometers in between from each other. So now being so close to TriStar and a couple other gyms that I'm training out here as well, I save 17 hours in my week.
28 years old,
30-second professional fight.
Mylan Sam Alvey.
Sam still has dynamite in his hands. He has 17 or so knockouts.
Oh! Alvey with the knockdown! Mutachi is out!
Oh my goodness!
And it's no mystery what he's going to try and do. He's going to try and knock my block off.
Oh! Down goes Kelly, courtesy of the right hand from Alvey.
And I'm just going to show him that no means no.
And how much more can Sheldon Westcott take?
If you guys thought I was annoying already, I'm sorry and you're welcome.